What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Steele.
I'm Devin Steele.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
Yeah, because we got an interesting topic for y'all today. Today, we're going to be discussing, is there such thing as the perfect partner or the perfect spouse, or is everybody just a project? Let's discuss.
Before we get into today's discussion, we have an announcement that we want to make. But first, let me just give y'all a shout out, okay? To all our real ones that have been purchasing our Beneath the Surface cards. Y'all are the true MVPs, okay? Yeah. Because y'all have really been, like, when I tell y'all this past week or two since the last episode, it seemed like we've been at the post office every day shipping out cards. And we are just so grateful and thankful for you guys for that, because it's a blessing. Like we said, when you take the time out to really pour into your business, to pour into the tools and resources that you're coming up with to serve others, you want them to actually receive it and want it. And to have you guys ordering and really wanting the products that we poured our hearts into, just listening to the questions that we have read and y'all being like, you know what, I want those. I want this to, dive deeper into my relationship. It means a lot. So we're really grateful and thankful for all of you guys that purchased your Beneath the Surface cards. And if you haven't already, make sure you go and purchase yours today.
btscards.com.
Yes. I think it's a perfect conversation starter, especially with Valentine's Day around the corner.
Yeah.
If you're going on a little date, or even if you're at home, whatever the case may be, whatever the setup is, this is a perfect conversation starter. And you never know where it could lead to. Yeah. So I think it would be it
might lead to the sheets. Who knows? We got some spicy stuff in there too.
It
so
just
fellas, you trying to get a little freaky on Valentine's Day? I threw in some cards. Y'all know I be talking reckless sometimes on this podcast, so our card deck is going to be a little bit reckless. So if you want to increase the chances of you ending the night well, especially if you forgot to do what you need to do for Valentine's, these cards is going to help, man.
Yes.
I put the questions in there for you.
Yes.
Send us a picture of y'all using the cards, not the actual act that you do after using the cards, though.
Please keep it PG. But yes, you guys, moving right along to the keeping it real, okay?
Yeah.
I got to keep it real with y'all.
You jump right into it. You didn't even ask me if I had one. You just...
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. This must be good. I'm going to sit back and listen like everybody else.
Yeah, because, I was just thinking, and speaking of Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. This week coming up on it. And...
What day is Valentine's Day?
You know what? February 14th, the same day every year. But no, so with so many conversations that I've had with like friends and family members, I know this could be a very hard or touchy time for individuals who aren't in relationships, right? Yeah. And I was just thinking about it because a lot of times, and me being in this space before where I may not have been in a relationship or didn't have a valid time, you get so down.
You better not have been, but go ahead.
You get so down on yourself and you're like looking at what everybody else is doing, what they're getting, what they have. And you get into this deep, dark place where you feel upset and you feel like, well, what am I doing? I need to find someone. I can't find someone. You're trying to, rush it. And it's just like a lot of times with certain holidays, it's for some people who don't have that significant other or that love to share that holiday with, it's like a dark cloud over it. And they're just wishing, okay, let's get to the 15th, Yeah. And I just wanted to speak to those individuals because I think for Valentine's Day in itself, with it being about love, I think the most important love to express is self-love, right? Mm-hmm. And I wish I had realized this in my younger years when I was single, to really pour into myself and do the things that I wanted my significant other to do when I had one.
Just say me.
For you, right? For when I did get into a relationship, that I would want that person to do for me. Right. So I think for those individuals that are out there, especially around this time of year where it's just like, oh, I see everybody going out purchasing Valentine's Day gifts and this, that, and the third, and you're just like really
in a sunken... You ain't see me at no store purchasing no gifts, but go ahead.
In a sunken of self and a sunken place where you just are upset and you're just wanting things to just get over and move right along to the next day. I think it's very important just to focus on yourself that day. Focus on your self-love, really pour into yourself. Whatever it is that you will want for that person, if you were in a relationship, to do to you, do for yourself. If it is you going out and booking a spa day for yourself, if it's treating yourself to a nice purchase, if it is, maybe just staying at home and having a little, quality time for yourself, watching a movie, setting up a little, movie setup, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you're seeking from someone else to do it on that particular day, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
And spend that quality time, like I said, pouring into yourself, loving on yourself, because like I said, the most important love is self-love first. Yeah. Because when you do those things, when you do come into a relationship and someone sees the value in you and they see how much value you put into yourself from you taking care of yourself and going the extra mile to, make yourself feel happy and treating, caring for yourself, giving yourself that TLC, they're going to see that value and they're going to say, you know what? I want to do that for them because I want to pour into them, right? It's not so much of a challenge for you to say, oh, I want this person to do this, but they don't really get it. They see how much love and care that you put into yourself and they want to just add to it. So I think when you're in this place where you're just thinking about, oh, well, I want a potential partner, but I don't have them around this day. And like I said, you're getting down on yourself. Just keep pouring into yourself because the time will come where you will have someone and they'll see the value, like I said, in you. They'll want to pour into you, want to love on you, want to give you all the things that you're wishing and desiring. But right now, just focus on giving that to yourself because that's very important to do.
Yeah, I think that ties in to our topic today because what we wanted to talk about is if there's a such thing as the perfect partner or the perfect spouse. I think you brought up a lot of great points just now as you were talking about Valentine's Day, because a lot of times when these type of holidays or these type of celebrations come along, we want to be in a relationship so bad when the goal should be to be in the right relationship or a good relationship. And sometimes that takes time in order to make happen because you're working on yourself. You want to make sure that you're running into the right individuals during that courting phase. So it takes some time in order to become that. So I think it's very important for people to learn how to be successfully single before they worry about getting into a relationship. Because if you learn to love being by yourself and being with yourself, then I think you put yourself in a better position not to tie yourself to another person off of desperation. You know what I mean? And I don't think that a lot of people are comfortable in their singleness because of pressures from society, just because maybe they don't like being alone, but they force themselves into relationships that they know deep down inside they shouldn't be in, but they feel like being in that toxic relationship or a relationship that doesn't serve them is better than being alone.
Yeah. That's deep. Yeah. I think a lot of people have experienced that. I feel like myself, even I've experienced that as well. So whereas, like you say, you want to be with someone, even though it may be so toxic and is not the right position for you to be with, the right person for you to be with, you're putting yourself in that position because you're not comfortable being alone. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are suffering from that. And it's important, like you said, to when you are searching for someone, or searching for your partner or wanting your partner to find you, that you really find yourself before that. Or you're working towards finding yourself, because that's, even when you're with someone, that's a constant journey of you growing and evolving, but really pouring into yourself. It's so important and so crucial. And it was something that I had to learn throughout our relationship and our journey as well. Yeah.
Well, before we get, because I see we about to really dive in deep with it. And before we do that, we forgot the message from a real one. So we're going to go ahead and read our message real quick because we don't want y'all to feel like we left y'all out. So let's get into the message.
So the message says, hey, I'm reading like that, y'all, because it's emphasis on hey, but so I can really use some advice. So there has been a guy over the past few years that I've expressed interest in and vice versa. However, timing has never aligned, mostly due to me. I would say maybe over the past 2 years, he has expressed deeper feelings for me. He has expressed he loves me, and over the past year, he told me that he's in love with me. I do love him, and I'm in a space where I'm open to giving us an actual try. However, he has stated he feels like I've made him feel like a backup plan or an option. I've apologized, and it hurts me because I've never meant to do that. We speak all the time on a daily basis, and even though he states he can't be with me, I don't think that's true. Do you guys have any advice?
That's tough. That's hard. But what I would say to her is I believe he has love for you, or he's in love with you. But what it sounds like is his love for you is not stronger than the resentment he has towards you for making him wait. Even if he wasn't your backup plan, it is his reality. And his reality is his truth. And until he gets over that resentment, I wouldn't try to force this relationship because it's not going to turn out the way that you want it to turn out.
Right.
Because he's clearly telling you he can't be in a relationship with you. And if you try to force something that somebody knows they don't want to be a part of or they can't be a part of, it's never going to turn out good. So I would just fall back. Y'all can stay in contact, maybe build up that friendship, and find a way to get over or bring healing to that situation. But now wouldn't be the right time to try to force that relationship.
Yeah, I definitely feel like what you said, you have to respect his viewpoint and his feelings and give him that space. If it is an opportunity for y'all to grow in the future, like you said, the timing never aligned. It may seem like, oh, well, this time is again not aligning, and maybe in the future it maybe it not. But I don't think it's a game of you just waiting around to see what happens. Like I said, if the opportunity presents itself, that's great. But I think you have to sometimes just live life knowing that things may just not never be. Yeah. Even though we want it to be, or we could see the potential of it, it just may never be. And it's hard to accept that as the truth. But when you get into the waiting game of, okay, well, I'll wait around, or, years pass, and then you're like, oh, well, dang, something, we just keep missing the mark. Right. And before you know it, it's like, okay, well, now only 10 years playing this back and forth game, when there could have been another person that actually wanted to pursue you, or you wanted to pursue, and you missed it because you were so busy chasing something that you thought was supposed to be. So I think you have to really just allow that to be what it is. If he is not in a space where he wants to pursue a relationship and y'all just want to be friends, then that's great. But if you're not in a place of wanting to be friends because you want to pursue a relationship, you got to be able to, respect his space and let it go, and move forward. Yeah.
But I think that it speaks so much to how society is now. I feel like we take people in our lives for granted.
Yeah.
We get rid of people too quickly in our lives. We put people up on the shelves and think that they're just going to stay there forever as we sort through our options. And that's not the way that life works. I think that's the importance of being intentional when it comes to dating, when it comes to relationships, and knowing exactly what you want. So that you're not placing people on the shelves and making them feel like they're the backup plan. You know what I mean? So I think that people just have to start being more intentional with understanding who they are, what they want, what kind of partner they want. And then when they find that person, or they find somebody, either let that person know that they're that person for you, or let them go. Don't just try to hold on to them in case what you really want doesn't work out, and then you can just spin the block on that person. So I think it just speaks a lot to where people's mindset is now when it comes to dating in general.
Yeah. Well, I think this kind of ties into what we were discussing as well, of just finding the right person, or are you working on a project, right?
Yeah.
And seeing if things align, or trying to figure things out along the way, and just trying to time everything up perfectly. Yeah. And to me, I don't think there is a perfect timing nor a perfect person. I think it's what you work at is what you're going to get.
No, I agree. Because we hear all the time, whether it be on social media or on TV, that when we meet somebody, we want them to be the package deal. We want them to be packaged the exact way that we want them. We want them to have went through some healing. We want them to have, made some money, or learn how to take care of a family. Like, we want them to be the perfect spouse or the perfect partner for us. And that's not the way this is. Like, you don't just skip down the yellow brick road one day and another person is skipping down the cross road, and then y'all just run into each other, and everything's perfect. Everything's aligned. Like, everything just goes good for the rest of y'all lives. Like, when I look at me and your relationship, man, we had a lot of trauma that we came into our relationship with. We had a lot of baggage that we came into our relationship with. But I think what has helped us overcome our past and the things that we've been through is we didn't allow our ego to suppress our trauma. We were open with each other. We took accountability for the behaviors that we were bringing into the relationship. And we made a decision to do the work to change it.
Yeah.
That has been the key to us. We didn't expect each other to do things the right way or to love on each other the right way or do certain acts of service the way that we wanted them to. We had to teach each other. We were willing to be students of each other, and we were willing to work through our flaws and not judge each other's flaws. That was the key. When we talked about our flaws, when we talked about our background, when we talked about the things that we felt like we needed to work on, we accepted it, we accepted each other's, and we didn't judge each other's flaws.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has been the key to us having this longevity.
Yeah. You know, when I think about it, I feel like a lot of people, majority of people are projects.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't doing is when they're going into these relationships and they're seeing these individuals as, oh, they're not fully put together. They don't want to work on it because it's just like, oh, well, I don't want to deal with the hassle. They have on a mask and they want someone to come all together. When in reality, if you sit back and look at yourself, you may not be all together.
It's not even a may not. That's the crazy thing to me is that we know our brokenness.
Yeah.
But I think our ego makes us believe that we're perfect, that we're not the problem, that we don't have any flaws, that we don't bring any baggage into relationships. So it's easier for us to see the flaws in other people because we don't have to focus on our own. It takes our mind off of having to focus on our own when I could just point out everything that you're doing wrong in our relationship, everything that's wrong with you, the healing and the work that you haven't done.
Yeah.
Because then I take the focus off of me and we can just discuss you. But I don't think that anybody comes into a relationship completely whole because most people are scared to do the work because it's scary to have to really unpack your life. It's scary to have to revisit the things that have traumatized you in the past. It's hard to do those things because your body will relive it in a way in which you feel like you're at that point in time now in your life. And this may happen 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are scared to do the work. A lot of people don't like going to therapy. They don't like going to counseling. They feel like they can just do nothing and it's just going to all go away. So they'll rather hide their pain rather than to show their pain and open up to their partner. But if you ever start off a relationship like that, you getting into a relationship with a stranger.
Yeah.
And I think that's the importance of the cards we have with Beneath the Surface because it provides people a resource to really have deeper conversations and understand your partner's upbringing so that you have a chance to know if this relationship is worth giving my time to. Because time is the most important resource that you have. You should protect it at all costs. And the way that you protect it when it comes to the dating scene is being intentional about what you want, understanding who you are, and then asking deeper questions in that phase when you're trying to get to know somebody.
Right. So let's get deeper, right?
Oh man.
Let's get deeper because we want to really focus on maybe the trauma or the healing, the project that you may have looked at yourself as going into our relationship. So if you look back at the beginning of a relationship, what would you say that you needed to work on the most that you didn't realize until recent times?
Leadership. I didn't know how to be a leader. You know, I had leadership positions when it comes to playing sports, when it comes to playing football. But it's completely different when you're trying to lead a family. And we're not talking about, wins and losses on a football field, but we're talking about somebody's life, their well-being. I'm in charge of that. I'm the head of that. And to be put in that position, well, not saying somebody put me in, but accepting that role or accepting that position without knowing what it truly entailed was a big challenge to me. And one of the things that I had to do as a man, which I think every great leader or a person that has the potential to be a great leader, is they don't allow their ego to get in the way of them trying to get to where they're going. So it could have been easy for me to be like, hey, I'm a millionaire. I'm going to be who I want to be. I'm going to live how I want to live. And either you can accept it or you can go, because there's a bunch of women out there. Nah, when I decided to marry you, it was because I trusted you. I trusted your perspective of me. I trusted your perspective on life. And when you came to me and you helped me see certain things that I needed to work on, you helped expose my flaws. I didn't take it to heart. I said, you're right. If the person I'm leading, my wife, is telling me, hey, there's some things that you need to work on, you're not going to tell me anything wrong because you don't want me to lead us into a ditch. You want me to take this thing as far as we can. So I know you're not going to come to me and just start making up stuff. So when you started to tell me, things that I could do better, I'm like, you know what? She probably right. Let me really reflect on the things that she's saying to me, and let's make an effort to change. I may not have been taught how to be a husband. I may not have been taught how to lead a family, but that can't be an excuse of why I can't do it, because there's a lot of resources out there. So number one for sure was leadership and knowing how to protect a woman's heart.
What you mean by that?
I've never tried to protect a woman's heart. I didn't understand the importance of it. Like growing up, dating and, talking to people, it was all about what I could get out of the situation, right? My fun. And I never really took into consideration what it meant to want to be the best person you can possibly be for somebody else. And how do you show up in a way that is tender and gentle and is compassionate and can protect a woman's mind, her heart, and her spirit? I didn't know that. So I had to learn how to do those things. And I'm still learning to this day. But like I said, my willingness to hear your feedback on my leadership has been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
What about you? Well, what are your thoughts on, what I just said? And what do you feel like was my biggest challenge?
I agree with what you said. I feel like it was definitely a learning process for the both of us, but for you, from even the conversations that we had from the beginning. I feel when you go into a relationship or when you go into meeting someone in general, you can kind of tell when they have a guard up or a wall up. Yeah. And from that, seeing that from our interactions, our conversations that we had, from you expressing things that you experienced to why you felt that way or why you was displaying that, I was able to understand it.
Right.
And I was able to, in a sense, see the potential or see past it, just because I understood where it was coming from. It wasn't like you just woke up one day and was just like, oh, this is just who I am. This is what I want to be. And I think a lot of times in life, that's what life is. The things that we experience, the trauma that we experience mold us. And we start to build these bricks one by one. And we don't even realize it before we know it. It's a wall up. It's a guard up around us, around our hearts. And it's hard to, knock those down because we're firm on it. Yeah. And we're protecting it for a reason. And I definitely noticed that in the beginning of our relationship. But like I said, I feel like you definitely been improving on that over time. If not improve, like I said, we're always working to strive for better. But the man that you were when I met you is not the man that you are today, especially in our relationship and your leadership skills and our love and affection for each other is completely different. It's like night and day. Yeah. So I can definitely see the growth.
What would you say was the biggest thing that you needed to change, or the biggest challenge?
Ooh, we got enough time.
You got the rest of the episode.
I think for me, first and foremost was my just my level of trust and security that I had, because I feel like for a long time, even from my childhood, I really didn't have anyone to trust in, a solid, even a male to trust in. And so in meeting you, it was refreshing because we had so much in common. We got along so well. But like I said, I had a guard up. And it was always me being on edge, looking for something to be wrong, and sometimes creating things in my mind and then making it my reality just because of things that I had experienced. Yeah. I think that was the biggest thing that I needed to work on, just not allowing you to live in your truth and be the person that you are and not suffer from my past experiences. Right. So I think that was really the biggest challenge for me initially. I think how I loved on you or loved you in the sense of just like being affectionate, knowing what you needed at times, understanding your love language and speaking it. It was a challenge because if you listen to past episodes of how we talked about the things that we went through, I was very stubborn and stuck in my ways. And so it was hard for me to really get back to a place of openness and willing to learn. Like we talk about being students of each other, being able to learn you and wanting to learn you and changing my mindset and who I am so that it could be like, okay, you know what? You can't just get stuck in your ways. If you want to grow in this relationship, if you want to flourish, you have to go outside of what you're comfortable doing in your norm and really work towards building a solid foundation. So I think it was a lot of things that I had to change for me internally as far as that, loving you, forgiveness, trust, which all stem from past experiences that poured into our relationship.
Yeah. It's so much that I want to say to what you just said. To be honest, I don't even know where to start. Seriously. But when I'm listening to us talk and from past conversations that we have and things that I hear on social media, one of the things that I love that me and you did and still do is I love you and I support you for the woman that you are, but I'm also willing to nurture that little girl that's still in you that didn't get what she needed in life or from her caretakers. The support, the watering, the seed of greatness that's inside of you. That's the responsibility that I took when I became your husband, to be that male that you talked about before that you couldn't fully trust or know if you can count on. That's my responsibility as a husband, to be that for you, to show that little girl that they do exist. There are men out there who do exist to pour into you, to support you, to love on you, to treat you right. I'm willing to do that. And what you have been willing to do for me is to love and support me for the man that I am, but to nurture that little boy in me that's still longing for certain things that I may not have gotten in my childhood. Like I had good parents, but my parents weren't affectionate. So when I come to you now that I've done the work, when I'm coming to you and I'm saying that I want that affection from you, although I know, man, you've been through a lot of stuff and we're doing a great job now, but we've been through a lot of things in the past that really hurt us and stopped us from being affectionate. But I come to you and I talk to you about that because I didn't experience that. So there's still that need in me that needs that type of love and affection from a woman. And you've taken the responsibility to nurture that little boy in me. And I think that the commitment we have to each other to do the work together, because you're never going to find the perfect person. Nobody's going to walk into your life and they're going to have everything together. But if that person is willing to admit their flaws and they're willing to make the commitment to make the change, that is the perfect person that you can be with. And me and you have been committed to doing the work together. And one day, man, when that little girl and that little boy grows up and we're able to reach the certain level of emotional maturity that we should be at right now.
Yeah.
I think that's when our relationship, that's when our marriage is really going to hit, man, another level. Once we continue to like I said, nurture and grow that child up in us.
Yeah. You know, I just want to touch on what you just said, because I think a lot of people can relate to that space, right? I too didn't really receive much affection growing up.
Yeah.
I wasn't an affectionate person. Going into relationships, I wasn't always that affectionate either. In our relationship, I started to grow that affection just because, like I said, I wanted to get outside of that level of comfort or me just not doing the things that I wanted to do because I feel uncomfortable doing them, right? And so I started to do those things in the beginning of our relationship. But then, like you said, we hit this block.
Yeah.
And we talked about it as well, where it's just like when you feel disconnected from a person, where you don't trust the person, where you feel you aren't prioritized, you start to pull away instead of turning towards your partner.
Yeah.
And from that, it was us not, like we talked about, we barely hugged and kissed each other for an extended period of time when we were going through that storm that we was in. And so when you were at a space where you were trying to get back to that level of affection, I was so withdrawn from it because I was so used to not having it. And it was so hard for me to do it initially because that wasn't my norm. Yeah. I wasn't used to being affectionate. And so now I'm even more removed from it. So
that's crazy. You did a good job masking it.
Listen.
No, hold on. Because I'm sitting here listening to you talk. And please don't forget where you're at. But in order for you to make this relationship work in the beginning, you completely stepped out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And for somebody listening right now, I want you to just sit in that for a little bit. Because oftentimes we're not willing to step out of our comfort zone. We try to keep doing the things that we've been used to doing, but it's not producing us the results that we want to have. And you were looking to do something different when it came to dating.
Right.
So you stepped out your comfort zone. You said, hey, maybe this is an issue. I'm not bringing this into my next relationship. And you did a hell of a job doing it, because until you just said that just now, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because you were super affectionate.
Yeah.
Like hugging on me, kissing on me. I told you one of the things that really stood out to you was like you would come over and you would just like pull my head down to your lap and you would just rub. They thought I was about to say something crazy. But you used to just rub my head. And I'll be falling asleep, and I ain't never felt that before. I said, yo, this woman is affectionate.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that was you stepping out your comfort zone.
Yeah. So
it makes sense to why when we were going through that storm, you reverted back to your, because it was easy. I mean, why did the counselor didn't get this out of us when we was going? I could have, bro.
No, but it's so true. And I think a lot of people are in that space, like I said, where it's like even if you are used to doing something, if you're so far removed from it, it's hard to get back to it.
Yeah.
And that was exactly the space that I was in. So it was years of me trying to get to a space, like I said, where it was uncomfortable. And now I'm in this space, and it's just like you're yearning for something again because you clocked back in, and I'm like, I done clocked out. I don't know how to clock back in. They put my jersey in the
rafters, and you still trying to play this game.
Listen,
I'm retired.
So that was really challenging for me to get back to that space, and we talked about it, and we were very open and vulnerable about it on previous episodes, and we got a lot of feedback from those episodes just because, like I said, a lot of people suffer from that.
Yeah.
But to get back to the space, like I said, of now being where we are now with our level of affection and loving on each other, it took a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people don't want to do the hard work. It's like I said, it's easier for you to be in that level of comfort, for you to be in your box of comfort and to not step outside of it.
Or for you to just jump relationship to relationship until you find somebody that fits what you want instead of becoming the person that can attract the person you want.
Right. But you will never truly grow in life as an individual or in your relationship until you step outside of that comfort zone. Yeah. And I realized that in our relationship, because I realized that me putting myself in that box confined me. It confined our relationship. It didn't allow us to flourish. And once I said, you know what, I went out on a limb, you know, I made a promise to myself to change for the betterment of this relationship. Let me honor my word and get back to it. Right. And the moment that I started to actually be intentional to that and to work towards that, things started to shift and change. So I think it was definitely eye-opening. Like I said, so many other people were probably experiencing that as well, where it's just like, I don't know how to get back to this place, right? I'm so withdrawn from my partner. My partner is not affectionate with me. I don't know what to do, this, that, and the third.
Or
and
I don't even want to be affectionate with my partner.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like you have to, one, have the conversation, to be vulnerable, to express why that is. Yeah. To have that understanding of listening to your partner and validating them and understanding why they're in that space so that y'all can work towards whatever it is that y'all going through and get to the space where y'all want to be at. Yeah.
No, I think that's a lot of great information, because we do get a lot of messages from people who are stuck in that situation right now where things may have been great for a long amount of time, and then they, you know, hit a wall in their relationship. They go through something and it throws them off track and they struggle to get back on track.
Yeah.
And their first thought, or it's probably not even their first thought, I'm not even going to say that, but they get to a point where they feel like the best option is to just walk away. Mm-hmm. And here's why I think that presents a problem. It's because you're never going to go through life or go through a relationship and then not experience trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to work through it in the relationship with you that you're in right now, granted, there's not some extreme things going on like abuse and things of that nature. But if you're not willing to work through it now, what makes you think that you're going to be willing to work through it in your next relationship? Right. Or do you feel like there's not going to be any problems? I feel like in society now, like I said earlier, people just bounce from relationship to relationship until they find one that works, not understanding that you're the one that makes it work. Mm-hmm. The individuals are the ones that make it work. They're willing to make the changes. They're willing to do the things that are necessary in order to create a life with each other. And like I said, one of the things that I'm most proud of with us is we never took that route. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, you would see people hop in and out of relationships, or they'll break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend and then get right back together. They'll break up for 2 months and then get right back together. Growing up, I thought that that's how relationships are supposed to be, that that's normal.
Yeah.
Me and you been together for over a decade and we've never taken a break.
Yeah.
We never broke up. And I'm proud of that, because that showed us how to really be committed to each other, into this relationship. We don't need to run away when things get tough. We run towards each other. We may not talk. We may not hug. We may not kiss like we didn't do in 2014 and a little bit 2015, but we're going to stick it out and we're going to figure out how to correct this thing. Mm-hmm. And if more people took that approach, you would be able to overcome the challenges that you're going through, because it wasn't always easy for us.
Yeah.
And looking at the place where we're at right now, I would have been pissed. Like if one day we have to look at the TV, a video of our life and our past and what it could have been. Mm. And I was sat down in front of the TV and showed what we do now, how we are now with each other, how we love on each other now, the family we created for ourselves. I would have been pissed if we would have gave up 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that if we just stuck it out, if we did the work, that I could have had this. So now I look back and I'm proud, like, yeah, it was tough, but we did the work. But look what has came from the work that we've done. Mm-hmm. And I just want to encourage other people out there that if you're stuck in a place like we were stuck, don't give up on it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I did during that time that helped me to stay committed mentally, emotionally, physically in our relationship was for me to look at the bigger picture of our relationship, right? A lot of times when you get in a relationship, you have the honeymoon phase, you're so happy, things are so perfect, and then you hit that first rock.
Yeah.
And now you're tested. And it's like, do I really want to go through with this relationship? Do I really want to be with this person? For me, it was me looking at the future of what I wanted for us. Looking at where we were at now, looking at where we were in the past, and really saying, you know what? This is something that's challenging, but I see so much potential for our future. I see so much potential for our relationship just based off of our past. So where we're at present time is not going to predict where we're going to go in the future. I think that was the biggest thing that helped me get through those times, because most times when you're in that phase, you're stuck and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. You don't see the potential or the growth because you're just literally just in that dark space.
You're ruminating on all the negative stuff.
Right. But when you're able to say, you know what, there is something better than what we're doing. There are resources, there are tools. The future is brighter if we work towards that. If you're able to foresee that and commit to working on that, you can reach it.
Yeah.
It takes two individuals to do, right? So you have to have those conversations, because we see that as well, where it's like a person is saying, oh, I'm trying to do everything, but my partner's not, giving an inch.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And at those moments, you feel like, okay, what am I going to do? I have to give up because they're not doing anything. I was so grateful that even in our hard times that we both was still committed to going through the fight together. Yeah. Because most people don't have that. So whether you're that person that's receiving the love that you need, or the person that's wanting the love from that partner, yearning for it and feeling like you're in a block, I challenge y'all to sit down and have a conversation to really ask each other what it is that you want for your future. Yeah. What do you see in each other? Where do you want to grow and go in the next 5 to 10 years? That's one of the cards that's in the beneath the surface cards. But where do y'all see yourselves? Yeah, we know we're stuck right now. We're in a place where it just feels like we can't make it through. But do we want to make it through? And are we committed to doing certain things that's going to get us to that spot? When y'all sit down and have those in-depth conversations and really outline why you're with that person, then it's just like whatever the challenges you're facing at that time, it's not going to hold you back.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we did. And that's why we were able to thrive in our relationship, because we saw the future. We saw the potential. We knew what we wanted in ourselves and for each other. And we were willing to work through it.
Yeah. And I know there's some people out there right now who feel what you just said. And they're probably asking themselves, but yeah, how do I know if we can make it through? Like, even if I wanted to, how do I know if we can? And I think you answered that question by telling our story, because you said when you looked at our present and you looked at our past, you knew the future that we could create with each other. You know that you're capable of overcoming the challenge and creating the future that you want for yourself if you can look at your history and still see positive things. If you can look back at your love story and you can remember the good times, there's hope that you can create a better future in your relationship. But if you look back at your story and you look back at your history, and no matter how hard you try, you can't think about the good times, you struggle to find anything good about the person in your relationship with, research shows that the chances of you correcting things is slim to none. So if you can look back at your history and you can remember the good moments that you shared with each other, if you look back at your history and you see, y'all working through some of the challenges that y'all dealt with in the past, you can create a better future. And by you sharing that story and how you were able to find yourself in our relationship again and be committed to our relationship again by looking at our past, I think is a true testament to the ability to still see the positive in the past when you're going through a tough reality.
Absolutely. So we hope that this episode was enlightening and helpful for some individuals out there.
We all projects, baby.
Yes, we are.
Project babies.
And yes, we're all projects in some form or
that was
fashion.
a double entendre.
Yeah.
I might have been a rapper.
You know what? I'm about to just close it up. But no, we hope you guys enjoy this episode. And until next time, keep it real.
Yes, sir.